Well, hello everybody. I am System Tech 66, and you know what? I wasn't gonna buy Resident Evil Reverse, and guess what? I didn't, and I won't, unless it's coming with the gold edition, right? Of RE8 Village, as Capcom want us to call it. So yeah, I'm sure I'll get it when the game's down to £12 or £15, and I pick up the gold edition. I want to get Resident Evil 7 gold edition first, because I only have the base game. But yeah, so RE-verse will be included, I'm guessing, with the gold edition, and I don't need to play it. I'm not going to touch that piece of shit, and I'm getting this from Rely on Horror. So Rely on Horror reviewed it, and they said Resident Evil Reverse is bad. Surprise, surprise. Let me get that out of the way up front. It's a bad game on a design level, a technical level, and a content level. That's right, everybody. I'm pretty sure you got to pay real money, loot box type shit. Aside from the brief monkey brain stimulation of big kill numbers flashing up on screen and the thrill of coming in first, if you could see my face, you'd be pissing yourselves laughing right now. There really isn't much that can be said positively about Capcom's latest attempt. That's right, Capcom. I'm going to be calling you Crapcom during this article, because this is crap. When you create crap, I call you Crapcom. So, latest attempt at trying to force competitive Resident Evil to happen. Stop. Concentrate more on the good stuff. There's a lot more to it than just being bad, though. And a lot of it hangs on the fact that this game took so long to finally release. So did Shadows of Rose. That was an argument I used in my Shadows of Rose video as well. After the game was delayed to follow the launch of its single-player counterpart, Resident Evil Village, that's right, we were supposed to get it during Village. Glad we didn't. And then further delayed until we eventually went a full year without hearing about the game again, because it was fucking hated. Nobody wanted to play it. So they held off until they thought people would have forgot about it. But we didn't. One might expect that some major work has gone into addressing the criticism surrounding the game's beta from last year. You might be shocked to hear that that answer is in fact, well, what do you guys think? No. Backing up a bit, Resident Evil Reverse is a competitive multiplayer FFA game, meant to serve as something of a celebration for its franchise's 25th anniversary. Last year, really? Couldn't you have made an Outbreak remake or something? Players are thrown into an arena where they duke it out, blah-de-blah. We all know all this stuff, yeah. Jill has landmines, Hunt can turn invisible. Tactical advantage. Getting killed isn't the end, however, as you'll be reborn as one of the 5 iconic BOW monsters. A fat-moulded Jack Baker, Hunter Y, Super Tyrant, and Nemesis. We've all seen this before. Because of the way levelling up BOW transformations work, the dominant strategy in RE-verse is more often than not hanging back from the chaos of combat. Levelling up your BOWs requires collecting virus samples that spawn around the map. While not always the case, these samples are off the beaten path, encouraging you to step away from the action and go hunting for them. You can see a biohazard marker letting you know where they are when you get close enough, although it can be difficult to tell what side of the wall they're on. But it's still drawing your attention away from the actual fighting. Levelling up in order to transform into more powerful monsters being such a totally separate action from fighting as a survivor can often turn matches into feeling like you're in a ghost town going 30 plus seconds without seeing another player as they all cluster in some far off corner of the map fighting. They talk about the problems exasperated by the scoring and how that's worked into it. Player skill doesn't factor much into the twitchy design either, while using your skills can be a big help in close encounters that don't do much against snapshots or long distance sniping when they're with the unbalanced feeling pistol. Turning into a BOW doesn't necessarily help you rack those points back up either, as scoring for BOWs is slightly lower than it is for survivors, and all of your more powerful moves can be blocked pretty easily, leaving you open to more damage. You can, as a BOW or just player, snag an unearned kill. Now, those are just the game's design problems. What about the rest of it? As stated before, the game has added almost nothing of value since its beta back in 2021. All of the content and design seen in the beta remains, save for Chris being swapped from RE7's to RE8's Chris, clearly the highest priority. With the only real new additions being one extra map, the Baker Estate, and a pathetically sparse collection of cosmetics. No leaderboards, no additional modes, and unlocks are restricted to specific characters, with several only being available as paid microtransactions. Well, I guess I was right, and loads of other people about that one. And in Jill and all the bioweapons cases, no costume cosmetics at all. It's shockingly shallow for a year's worth of waiting. It's all worth mentioning that if you'd been excited to see Hound Wolf Squad, sorry I got it wrong in my previous video, and the village map that was shown in the launch trailer, you'll just have to keep on waiting for all of that, as none of it is included in this initial release. Great, so the game comes with RE8 and you don't even get to play a map that is based in RE8's location. Even more damning, those things were data mined from the beta last year, so these aren't things they're working on. They're things deliberately left out of the launch to try and entice you to come back and maybe spend money on their stupid premium battle pass, which locks specific cosmetics until you've paid for the pass. You disgust me, Capcom. It's also disturbing to consider RE-Verse's announced roadmap, which seems to indicate only one more map is ever coming, and only 3 more characters. RE-Verse's lack of content screams a level of disinterest and missing value. People can keep defending the game as being free, but since it's not free, I'm disregarding that defense. Well said. It's bewildering and makes me wonder why the game was made in the first place. Agreed. So now we've established the game certainly wasn't delayed to add more context than what was it delayed for. It certainly wasn't to fix the game's miserable balancing netcode or bugs either, because they're still present. Hit detection is scattershot and vague from both survivor, weapons and BOW attacks, with some massively powerful hits seeming to sail right through your target. Other times, survivor can be staggered into next week as they play out a lengthy animation of them falling over and struggling to get up, and none of this with the added benefit of iframes to help make it feel even a little bit fair. These animations were designed for Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, where they had iframes and were meant to be used during fights with AI opponents, not human adversaries, wailing on you for that whole time, that total amount of time. They say picking up items is shit, it's a crap shot. It's as instead of hitting the button to pick up herbs, ammo, BOW samples and power weapons, you just sort of bump into them. Character balancing is virtually non-existent, with Chris and Ada being so hilariously overpowered it's almost worthless to play as another character if you're playing to win. The netcode is still very rough, with matches dissolving halfway through or never materialising at all. Laggy, they said, some of the matches. Many other parts of Reverse that range from perplexing. Only 12 trophies achievements, most of which can be unlocked in an hour of play. Frustrating, often difficult to tell where you're actually taking damage from despite an on-screen indicator. Too tiresome. The only piece of music that plays is Resident Evil 2's Looming Dead on a loop forever. This is like a game that just pops up on Steam from like a nobody developer, like just trying to get money. Resident Evil Reverse is bad. It's easily the worst multiplayer offering the franchise has ever had. Jesus, worse than Umbrella Corps. Just about every aspect of it feels unfinished, lacking polish, or just plain poorly throughout. A chaotic mess at its best, a frustratingly broken nightmare at its worst. I'm left with almost nothing to recommend. If you're looking for a way to partner up with your friends as a host of classic Resident Evil heroes in arenas inspired by locations from multiple games in the series, I highly recommend Resident Evil The Mercenaries 3D from 11 years ago. Oh, don't even bother downloading REverse, and if you do, certainly don't reward Capcom by buying into this free game's microtransactions. It's not worth it. And the game will be dead in 6 months from now, never to return or even be mentioned again. By the time Resident Evil 4 Remake releases, half of you won't even remember this game exists at all. A 1 out of 10, a massive failure. Oof. I need to see their opinion on the Winter's expansion. Rely on horror, they're not too bad, they're not like, they don't really gun, anything unless it's really bad. So they gave this a 9 out of 10 for whatever reason, so it goes to show you, see, they liked Shadows of Rose. I personally didn't really think it was that great. Just depends when I get to play it. But like I said, I've seen gameplay and I've watched the story through, and it still wasn't doing it for me. And I guess it's more of a style thing. It's more of what I prefer for my Resident Evil, and that's just not doing it for me. So they chose to go with that style, whereas I like it's the Village sort of style, but this is more over the top. Whereas I like the older industrial, bioweapons, viruses sort of side of things. I like that stuff. Or even RE4's weird body snatcher, set in rural Spain type of setting and things and style. So. Yeah, but it goes to show you that it has to be bad for them to give it a 1 out of 10. Because a lot of people saying that Shadows of Rose ain't that great, but they gave it a 9. So rely on horror. They end up like loving stuff if it's like good horror, if that makes sense. They have their own preferences definitely. So if something is doing horror and it's doing it the way they like it, they'll give it a good score. But there you go. That's REverse. Glad I didn't fucking touch it. Piece of crap, and I was right all those months and months ago. Fucking dog shit. Absolutely horrible. Nice one, Capcom. Really putting that R in your name, really making that stand out. So yeah, I want Capcom, not Crapcom. 2 sides. Definitely 2 sides. Kind of like how Mia was Miranda, but also Mia. You had the bad Mia and the good Mia. Well, here we have the bad Capcom and we have Crapcom. Crapcom is the Miranda of the video game industry, and Capcom is Mia, kind of, because Mia's not technically good, but she's not super bad either. So yeah, that's Capcom. So please don't download Resident Evil Reverse and let Capcom think that it's doing well. Just don't. No one wants to play it, and you'll be the odd one out. Just don't do it. Don't fucking download that shit pile, even to be like, oh, it could be a laugh. No, just don't do it, because then they're going to see, oh, people are downloading it, it must be good, let's make more of them. No, they should have learnt this from fucking Operation Raccoon City. They should have learnt from Operation Raccoon City. It doesn't work. Umbrella Corps, it doesn't work. That last one that came with the remake of 3, which I forget about, it doesn't work. Nobody wants this, Capcom. We don't want this. Concentrate your efforts on a Musha continuation, a remake, or a Dino Crisis game. Maybe a remake or a sequel to 2. I don't know. Just do something else. Like, concentrate on a fucking remake of Code Veronica. Whatever. Just put those man-hours into something more important and better. Regain some of that respect. Because for every Resident Evil 4 trailer that looks incredible, you then drop all this shit on people. And we know what you're trying to do. We all know what you're trying to do. We know you're trying to get into that market so you can sit on your asses and be more lazy and let the money roll in for the cosmetic shit, because hoping that some dumbass is going to pay for those microtransactions. No. Just because Fortnite did it, and I'm trying to think, other games, Call of Duty can do it, and GTA does it, doesn't mean you should be doing it. And if you do, put some effort into it. Make an Outbreak remake. Make an Outbreak sequel. Do the online thing properly. Have us searching around Raccoon City in teams. That'd be sick. That'd be so cool. Have some people play as the mercenary teams, you know, the umbrella mercs, and they're searching for samples so they can make some money. I don't know. There's clever ways to do it. Just have anything that ain't this. If you do that and you make it proper, then we'd have something on our hands that's worth a look in, you know, and you make sure that it's good. Like, but yeah, this, nah, it's not where it's at. So that's my rant on Reverse. I'll rip it a new one, and I'll rip Capcom a new one as well for what they keep doing, because I'm bored of it and it's getting on my nerves. And there are people that are going to be like, oh, but I like the way that Village plays. I like its first person. Resident Evil's always been silly. I like Reverse. It gives me something fun to play, and I don't have to think too much. That's most Resident Evil games. I've got to use my brain. You know, or the remake of 3 wasn't that bad. Like, I kind of prefer it to the original. Really? When did you play the original? Like a year ago? Oh, so you didn't grow up with it? No. Does that matter? Yeah, it fucking does matter, because when it came out, it was incredible. That's why people are saying that the remake of 3 ain't as good. Because it ain't. That's facts. You get more content in the old Resident Evil 3 than you ever will in Resident Evil 3 2022, whenever the hell it came out, 2021. You know? It's not a bad game in its own right. It's well designed, but it's a shit remake. I get sick of this fucking Capcom arse licking, man. It's got to stop. You know, people wanted Dino Crisis. What did? They trolled your ass and brought out something like Exo Primal. As much as that game looks fun, it's not what people wanted. They wanted the Dino Crisis game, a survival horror focused, or maybe like the second one action focused, survival action Dino game. Nope, we get Exo fucking Primal. You know, great. You took the idea of Dead Rising, but put dinosaurs in there and made it multiplayer. Congratulations, Capcom. Good one. So yeah, anyway, that's Reverse for you. That's my take on everything. And I think to sum it all up, I think that I am frustrated and fed up with Capcom. That is why I had my little rant. And I'm fed up. I'm fed up with it. I want better. I want better from them. And people might say, yeah, but Exo Primal, I don't care. Exo Primal looks, I don't know. It's just this. On one hand, yes, it looks fun. Okay, it does. It looks fun, and it's just new IP, and I'm like, cool, but it was at a time when people were like, oh, Dino Crisis, we're gonna get a Dino Crisis remake, and then people tried to say, oh, it's because the dinosaur physics and the way that they'd have to animate them is really hard. They've done it with millions of them now. Like, there's fucking tons on screen. What are you talking about? Like, when I was talking about Resident Evil 7 having a lack of enemy variety, oh, it's because they used the camera that it scans real life objects and real life people. So what? They can still scan a real life person and then make them and animate it by hand to be fucked up. They can still do this stuff. It's not hard. You know, you think Jack Baker, the massive size it was, big blob monster thing, you think what, someone was crawling around in a fucking duffel bag to get that? You know, to get that motion capture. No, they probably animated it. So all that was bullshit. It was bullshit. So people keep making excuses. That's what I get fed up with. Oh, we couldn't put the alligator in RE2. What you don't understand. No, I understand it. I understand fully how motion capture works and how taking a photograph of something real and digitize it. I get all that stuff. You know, I understand. Yes. But what I don't understand is how people can defend them saying, but they can't animate it. Yes, they can animate it. It's in a fucking computer. They can animate it. They've done it previously. They've done it through generations of games. They can do that. If it's 3 or 4 monsters that they just have to animate that aren't humanoid-like, they can animate it. Believe me. So all that whole like, well, that's the reason the alligator ain't in the new one. Shut up. And in the end, they put him in anyway. So shut up, man. Pisses me off. Like, but yeah, this is it. The summary is I'm fed up. Fed up and I'm frustrated. As a fan, I'm fed up and I'm frustrated. So, RE4 remake looks incredible. It looks incredible. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But they want to hope it's good. Because Callisto Protocol's coming out. That's coming out. And if that wipes the floor with Resident Evil, if it does better than RE4, then I'm sorry. Like, you're going to see everything change. Maybe Capcom will then try and emulate a good survival horror game, which is Dead Space and also Callisto Protocol. Maybe they'll go that route if that does well. So go out and get Callisto, go out and get Dead Space remakes. Maybe that will show Capcom, hey, look, this is how it's done. And maybe they'll start to try and copy those. They kind of did that with the Resident Evil 2 remake, and that's what made that so cool. Definitely. You could see the inspiration from Dead Space and Dead Space 2 and games like that. So, yeah, don't try and emulate Dead Space 3. I've still never played that game. But anyway, it's just my frustrating self ranting, and don't take it personal unless you are really one of these people that keep excusing Capcom for these dumb things, and it was definitely aimed at you. But anybody else, it's not really aimed at you. I'm just ranting, and I'm frustrated and fed up, and I miss, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s Resident Evil sort of titles. I miss those, and I hate all this type of bullshit. This is microtransactions should have been left 5 years ago. They're still carrying on with that bullshit. You know, trying to jump on that Fortnite crowd or Call of Duty. Like the ending of RE Village was a fucking Call of. It was like the remake of Call of Duty. It was taken from that. And when I played it, I was like, are they serious? Do you know what I mean? What? So yeah, I get frustrated. So that's my take on everything. Fuck RE-verse. Stop being shit, Capcom, and stop with this bullshit, man. Start working on, you know, these IPs and putting more care and attention into them, please. Like, I don't know why we waited this long for Shadows of Rose. It's really not worth the wait. Let's just say that. So yeah, anyway, guys, have a good rest of your week. And I've got my fingers crossed, and I have high hopes, and I think you guys should too, for the RE4 remake. We will have to see, but it looks like a lot of love and care and attention has gone into that game, and that's like old school Capcom mentality. So that's the one to watch. That's the one that I'm looking forward to. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think that I'd be singing Capcom's praises right now. So that's Capcom. This is Crapcom. Two different entities. Have a good rest of your week. Take it easy. Peace.